Before I talk about the midbrain, I'm going to talk a little bit about localizing a lesion. All right, that's pretty much the most important thing of functional neurology. That is what me and Lauren want you to know before you get to advanced club, is how to localize lesions. So you think about it, that's what basic club is. In order to do it, you've got to know what each area of the brain does and how to test for them. All right? So looking at this picture, this is basically talking about this is showing where everything fires to. So like Lauren just said, the cortex fires down to the PMRF, and the PMRF to the spinal. All right. Now the cerebellum, we don't have it there, but it's out here, and like she put over there, it fires into the same side of the PMRF. Okay. So before I talk about the midbrain, let's say somebody has a right dilated pupil, and they tell you they're sweating more on the right side. What area of the brain would you first think of that is probably the problem? PMRF. All right, so that's step one. You got to figure out from the testing you're doing, where are you thinking the main problem probably is? So we say PMRF. Now you got to think about those central integrative states. What if the PMRF is fine and it's the cortex that's the problem? Because remember, you got to have. If you've got neuron A to reach its threshold and fire, it has to get stimulation from B, C, and D. Right? So if B is lesion and it's not getting enough stimulus, now it's only getting 2/3 of what it needs to fire. Right? So the problem could be in the cortex that's making the PMRF show. So what you would do.
I was going to ask in this situation, what would B see? Like, what would these variables be if we're talking about A being the PMRF?
So, yeah. So right now, from what I'm saying is you would look at A as being the PMRF. Okay. So A is our lesion, and you're saying, is it B? Say B is the cortex firing into it, or C, maybe the cerebellum. So you have to think about and know what all areas of the brain fires into that area that the problem is at. All right. So now let's say for this picture, all we have that we've talked about already is the cortex. So if the problem in the cortex, what could we do to test it? We just did it on a review. What's some pincher? What's another one? Gait. So you do some of those things, and if those check out, then it's probably the PMRF, right? If those don't check out, it's probably the other. Does that make sense? All right. Now, I want you to really, we're going to talk about the midbrain, but it's all going to keep coming back to this localizing a lesion, because we can't talk about it until we know enough about different areas of the brain before we can do it. I'm going to add the midbrain in, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit more, and hopefully if we have enough time at the end, we're going to get together and try to localize different people's lesions. Right?
This is where it starts to get fun, because we kind of separate everything, and you want to understand what each area does. But the whole idea of functional neurology is that we look at this as a whole thing. It all works together, a lot of things talk to each other. So the more you start working on exams, just like you said, is where you're going to be looking at, if you see PMRF signs, is it that cortex not firing to that PMRF? Is it that cerebellum, which we'll talk about next week, not firing to that PMRF? And that's why you're seeing some PMRF signs. Then you can compare and contrast and start to do a differential diagnosis and do therapy.
Now, all right, for the midbrain, it's also called the mesencephalon.
Any questions with that? We're going to keep going with it, so.
It does a lot. All right, it's the most intricate part of the midbrain because it's the most rostral part of the brainstem. Remember, the higher you go, the more intricate. So that means it does a whole lot of things. But the most important is the autonomics, because that's your life, right? You said the PMRF, it inhibits it. So what the midbrain does is it excites it, all right? let's say, all right, let's back up. What are sympathetics? They're the fight or flight, right? You have fight or flight, rest and digest, you always hear that. But what is fight or flight? When you get in sympathetic mode, what is some of the things that happen in the body?
People's heart rate.
Increased heart rate. Anything else?
You guys know constriction?
Say that one time.
Is a constriction of the skin.
Okay, the skin, constriction of the skin,
Dilation.
pupillary dilation. All right. So basically, why would you have, if you get in a bad situation, why would you have increased heart rate? Why would you have constriction of your extremities? Why would you have dilation to your core, your lower skeletal muscles? So, but what, it's so you can get away and do what you need to do, but what about doing those things physiologically allows that? Oxygen and nutrients that are in your blood, right? So, and to think about the areas that get constriction and dilation, it's basically just what do you need to get away or fight somebody. So those things are going to get vasodilation, so you get more nutrients and oxygen in those areas. Everything else is going to get constricted, right? Now, to a lesser extent, that's global, all right? To a lesser extent, any little movements that you do, I just like using this example because it's easy. If you want to pick up a pen, let's say, there's more metabolic demand with my right arm picking up this pen, and this left arm is just chilling over here, right? So to do this, this needs more nutrients and oxygen. So I've got to dilate this side and constrict this side. Why do you need to constrict this side? You only have so much blood in your body. This isn't true, you never have the equal amount throughout your body. But if you think of your arteries as blood hoses, and they're half full of blood, if you dilate one side, that doesn't do anything, right? Because it's just half full anyway. So you got to constrict another area to help shunt the blood over there, okay? So I need to dilate this side, constrict this side. This is happening all the time. So we're going to talk about how it does this. The cortex, so if I'm picking up something over here with my right arm, okay? Left side, right side. My cortex is going to fire into the ipsilateral midbrain. Okay? This midbrain is going to fire down to the IML, which is the sympathetic. Right? So now I've got that proper dilation over here on my right side from my right arm. Okay? Now, how do you think, you know this from the material that we've already talked about and from the review Lauren just did. From this picture, how do you think I'm going to constrict the opposite side? PMRF, right? Perfect. That was a quick answer. So at the same time that this is going on, the cortex is also firing down to its ipsilateral PMRF, who is then, its job is to inhibit the IML. Alright, so now you've got, moving my right arm to pick something up, my left cortex fires down to the ipsilateral midbrain, mesencephalon, whose job is to excite sympathetics opposite the PMRF. It fires down to the contralateral IML, my right side. Now I got vasodilation, I got the proper nutrients and oxygen I need to this arm. And at the same time, it's coming down to the ipsilateral PMRF, contralateral to where I'm reaching, exciting that PMRF, which is inhibiting that IML. Now I got constriction. Is there any questions with that? Is everybody cool with that? We are. All right. Be sure, because I'm about to throw a little something else at you. Good. All right. Now this is going back to kind of the thought process of localizing lesions. Let's go back to that same scenario. Let's say I've got a right dilated pupil, and the guy says, or he's showing that he's sweating more on the right. All right? Right dilated pupil, sweating more on the right. What did we say is the probable lesion?
PMRF.
Which PMRF? Right PMRF, right? This is ipsilateral. All right, so we're saying right here. Now, what else from what we just talked about could it possibly be?
Midbrain.
We're just talking about, when we're talking about other areas that fired into it, right now we're just going to talk about immediate firing into, not like 2 or 3 down the road, or just immediate. Midbrain, right? So would that mean the midbrain is possibly hyperactive? It's maybe this midbrain is too strong, firing into this IML, blowing it up, so now you're just sweating all the time, right? So now we've got a different differential. Could be PMRF is lesion, or the contralateral midbrain is too strong, it's hyperactive, blowing up the IML, right? Is everybody cool with that? So I'm going to throw one more thing at you. We are good. All right. Now, that is kind of the concept we want to think about with the lesion localization, but you always have to think about now, we figured out what is the primary possible area, what fires into it, just from this picture, contralateral midbrain, but then you also have to think about what if that side is normal and the other side is underactive or hyperactive. What I mean is, maybe he's dilated more on this side and sweating more because this is appropriate and he's not even sweating at all on this side and he's vasoconstricted over here, his pupils are constricted too much over here. So maybe the problem is that this PMRF is too strong and it's completely shutting this IML down, or this midbrain is lesioned with hypoactivity and it's not strong enough to strengthen this IML. Does everybody follow that kind of thought process?
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah. All right, please, again, this is probably the most important week because we really talk about, again, localizing the lesion. So please, if you have any questions about it, ask, because think about this. If you don't know how to localize a lesion, how are you going to treat anybody? And worse, if you aren't very good at it and you misdiagnose somebody and you start treating the wrong area, not only are you not fixing them, you're messing up something that was good, right? So this is really important. So you've got the cortex, somebody's sweating too much, dilated pupil on the right. Not sweating too much, let me rephrase that, they're sweating more on that side. Cortex fires to midbrain. Midbrain is either too strong, it's hyperactive, so maybe the midbrain over here is too strong, it's hyperactive, and it's blowing up this IML, and you're sweating too much. Or this PMRF is hypoactive, it's too weak. Oh, sorry. This PMRF is hypoactive and it's too weak to properly dampen the IML. Okay? Now, if that's where the problem is, those are your only 2 areas. But if the problem is that this side is normal, but it's showing up that you're sweating more, because this side, I mean, you're supposed to sweat, right? This side, maybe it's not sweating. And maybe this side is it's constricted like a pinball. So it's showing up that this side's hyperactive, but it's really this side's hypoactive. So now you got to think about on the other side, what could cause that hypoactivity? So the things that it could be is basically the converse of what we just talked about. You've got the PMRF is either too strong, completely shutting down this IML. So now the IML just can't work. So the midbrain is like cool, firing as much as it's supposed to like a positive 10. But this guy is so strong, he's dampening it to like a negative 20, just shutting it down. Or this midbrain is hypoactive, and it isn't strong enough to stimulate this IML. Okay? So it's basically the opposite of what was going on this side. Are we sure we got it? Please tell me if not. I swear, no one has any questions. All right, now, this is important. We're talking about, again, this is with autonomics, but the point is, you need to think about this with everything. So when we're going back to localizing, say somebody has, whatever the situation is, you need to be thinking about when you're testing your cortex tests, your cerebellar tests, trying to figure out what's firing into that area. Always think about, but is it because the other side is underachieving? All right, it could be one or the other. All right, that's a thought process that you always kind of want to have. Where's the problem? What's firing into it? And is it the other side is underachieving? Probably try to get in groups of 3. If you get more than that, not everybody's going to have enough time to go. If you only have 2, you want to have somebody to kind of talk about if you're seeing the same thing with the patient. So one person play patient, other 2 doctors, and then rotate. From what we know now, what we talked about, localizing the lesion, play doctor, and do the test that you know, see if you can find an area of the brain you think it is, then test what fires into that part of the brain. Remember to think about, are my findings because that's really where it's at? Or are my findings there because that side is normal and the other side is the problem? All right? Write down what you think the findings are with the patients, and then when we're finished, hopefully if we have enough time, if we can get through it, we'll come back and see if anybody wants to share and talk about what you saw and if we agree with the diagnosis. All right?
These are all the tests you know now.
These are all the tests right here. All right? They're also on the back of your sheet, but just so that you remember. So let's see if you can localize one of your friends' lesions, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.